There we go. Now we're live. We have a lot to get to. And I thought this was going to be for most of the night a happy Andrew Fox Miller is pouring bourbon stream. Instead, it's going to be me whining, bitching, and complaining about officials that have no idea what the hell they're doing. And there we go. I just violated the YouTube rules like 4 times, Andrew. I'm sure you're loving it. I'm James Rapien. He's Andrew Fox Miller. This is Cincinnati Bengals talk. And the officials are going to be the story. And what should be the story is Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow were freaking insane. Jamar Chase was insane. And yet the officials are so blind that I'm going to give them my LASIK Plus link because LASIK is awesome. And I underwent LASIK last November and they need that link because clearly they can't see that Mike Gesicki is being grabbed by 4 different Ravens, or they can't see that Joe Burrow is getting grabbed with his face mask with the game on the line. It's the most important play of the NFL this week, period. No one else has played. Sorry, Andrew, I'm going to rant for a second. Not another team has played. 0 teams have to play this week for that to be the most important moment of the entire week 10 of the NFL season. I promise it is. I don't need to see the game Sunday. I don't need to see the game Sunday night or Monday. You're talking about the reigning MVP versus the guy who's playing as well as any player on the planet, Jamar Chase, who's clearly the best wide receiver on the planet right now. Did you watch him tonight? Of course you did. You're here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. And that's how the game gets decided. It's the most unbelievably bad thing that can it just can't happen. It can't happen. Not after all of that. And the Bengals are extremely flawed, and we can talk about that and how frustrating Zach Taylor is. And boy, oh boy, am I annoyed with some of his decisions. But the last play for that game to come down to that and for that to happen and go uncalled is honestly, those officials should be suspended. Like, I don't know where to start. You're talking about the 2 most important quarterbacks this week going head to head. Who does Patrick Mahomes play? He plays a crappy team. I forget who it is. It's not like it's Burrow Mahomes. Lamar Burrow is the story this week, and it's on national TV, and those officials do that. Andrew, sorry. What are we? We're 2 minutes in.
I don't care.
Literally, like, this is the national storyline that we should talk. This should be on The View tomorrow. Like, this should be discussed everywhere, which would be ironic if it was on The View because these officials have no view. They can't see. They must be. I am just. The more I think about it, Mike Gesicki is 6'5". He looks like a basketball player, right? He looks like he's built like Kobe Bryant, basically. A little thicker than that, but basically like Kobe Bryant was. And to pretend that you can't see him getting shoved and grabbed by multiple Ravens. And then Joe Burrow, who, again, basketball build, right? 6'3". Most important player on the field at that time, Lamar Jackson's on the bench. And gets hit multiple times, gets grabbed in the face mask. How are neither one called? Why are officials even on the field? You might as well just let it. We'll call our own penalties. It might as well just be NFL Street. I have no idea how that game came down to that.
Okay. First of all,
you weren't ready for this. You weren't.
No, it's not that I'm not ready for it. It's not that I'm not ready for it. I'm obviously sitting here letting you cook. I get it.
Oh my God.
2 things. 1.
Yeah.
First time. I mean, 2. I'm gonna show you something, James.
Oh, you already got bourbon going.
No, I don't have any bourbon going.
Oh,
I mean, I'm not scared either. I would do that, but let me show you something, James.
Show me something.
I think you're going to be signing this tomorrow for those that are interested. But I want to point something out. When you do the second edition of this book, guess what's going to happen in the year 2024? You're not going to be talking about the refs and what they did or didn't do in this game. And that's the unfortunate thing. I'm tired, James. I'm tired.
Maybe I am. By the way, yeah, Joseph Beth Booksellers in Rookwood, 5 o'clock Saturday. I will be there. I will have plenty of copies of Enter the Jungle. It's above me. So join me for that. And I'll write whatever you want me to write about these officials in that book.
I'm going to write a foreword for your next second edition. Dan Horde should keep the original foreword. Don't get me wrong, but I'll do a secondary where I talk about this specific game, Mike Gesicki, face mask of Joe Burrow. That'll be the whole foreword. I'm ready for it.
Yeah, it's insane. And by the way, there's plenty to talk about. I had a whole thing planned about the defense, how frustrating it is. I had a whole thing planned about this offensive line and how, man, if they just give Burrow a little bit more time, and we're going to get to all of that still. I promise you we are. I just cannot believe that a game where Joe Burrow is magnificent on the road, getting pummeled, and gets the ball back 4th and 10 after Andre Josevich runs the wrong route on 3rd down. Trust Andre again, goes back to him, and they extend the drive. They march their way downfield. They scratch and claw their way downfield. They get down there, and who does Burrow find? Jamar Chase, who was just best receiver on the planet. That guy is just unbelievable. And so for those two guys to do what they did tonight, and then for this team to come up short, not because of a drop, not because of a missed block, not because of insert whatever. I know Tanner Hudson had 6 catches tonight. You don't think Joe Burrow would have loved to go to Mike Gesicki? Of course he would have loved to go to Mike Gesicki and with that 2-point conversion. And he didn't even have that option. And then he gets crushed and they don't call it. It's just, it's insane that that's how it goes. And people are going to say, oh, it's sour grapes. No, I don't care. If it ends with Mike Gesicki running a route and they throw it to and Joe Burrow throws it to Tanner Hudson and he's just straight up and that's it and it's just over, then fine. Fine. And I didn't see it in real time. I didn't know Mike Gesicki got held on the broadcast angle. I didn't know that Joe Burrow got pummeled and there should have been a call there. I just don't want the great games to end that way, where it's very, very clear that they shouldn't have ended that way, and it should be another down, and it should be half the distance to the goal, and they should have to do it right now. Roger Goodell should have called like, nope, we're redoing it. We're not going to look this bad under the national spotlight, because now that's the storyline when it should be how Lamar Jackson scored 4 straight times and how Derrick Henry in Lamar, that combo is just so tough to defend. And on the other side, how Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are the best duo, quarterback wide receiver duo in the NFL. And I'm not sure it's even close. So that should be the story. And instead, I do think the officials are a big part of it.
I totally understand. I mean, if you were to tell me after this game, and granted, they more or less, all things considered, relatively speaking, contained Derrick Henry the last time these two teams faced each other. Yep. But if you were to tell me, look, they held him to 68 yards, not to discount Lamar Jackson. He had some incredible plays in this game. He played really well. Even if he didn't really look maybe 100%. I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't know what's going on, but there were moments.
He was fine.
Okay, well then credit to the Bengals for making him make me think he didn't look 100% at times. But regardless, like if you talk about Jamar Chase, never mind the numbers, which are incredible, but like what we saw in this game with our own eyes, just visually seeing the plays that unfolded on this offense and the defense that didn't, yes, they were inconsistent. Yes, they sort of more or less collapsed in the second half, but I think they were capable of still making this a game, and more or less they did, because it did come down to the rest. I give you that. I don't know. I just think the Bengals looked tonight. I'm not saying they are conclusively, but tonight they looked like the better team for the most part, and they made big, incredible plays. Ravens did as well, but Bengals looked like they had stepped up. They came to, like, that's why they went for 2. They came to win. Zach Taylor just said it. That's why they went for 2. I don't know.
And I have no problem going for 2. None. 0.
I do want to talk about that for a second. Go on with this.
All right, let's talk, because Lamar Jackson leads the Ravens on 4 straight scoring drives. Everyone felt the momentum shift. The turning point, the Bengals are up 21-7. They have the ball. The turning point is Chase Brown's fumble. So when everything changed, Chase Brown fumbles it. The Ravens score. They get a little bit of momentum. The Bengals drive to the 40-yard line. And here's where we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. If you're just joining us, Bengals fans, we've talked about the officials. We're going to get into some of the decisions here that let the Ravens off the hook, because they were in control, 21-7. And I was waiting for the turning point. It just doesn't end. It doesn't end against Lamar. It just doesn't. He is that damn good. And it didn't, because you fumble the ball, you give it back to him, he scores, and then you punt from your own 40. And it was 4th and 16. So obviously I'm not saying go for it. You know what I am saying? Man, oh man, on 2nd and 16 and 3rd and 16, you got to get yards somehow. You got to get 5 yards, 6 yards, something, so Evan McPherson can kick a field goal. And instead, they punt it, and Lamar goes down. And we can discuss, I want to discuss really what I thought was the biggest play of the game outside of the 2-point conversion. But you mentioned the 2-point conversion and you want to discuss that, I have no issue with the decision to go for 2. What about you?
By nature,
You
James.
By
nature, James. I'm not saying maybe there's some element of like conservative. There's an element of, I don't know. I understand why. I don't judge it. I don't say it was the wrong decision by any means. I just know that if I were in that position, I probably would go for the extra point, but I know what happens when that happens. And I'm glad they were aggressive at the end of the day. I will say this. We look at what happened with Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Kansas City Chiefs. The moment there's a coin flip in overtime, what's Baker Mayfield's face?
Sure.
I never felt that way in this game. I didn't feel that way, even knowing Lamar Jackson was going to get ball back with whatever was left, even if it was in overtime. In this game, I didn't feel that way because I saw Joe Burrow's face on every snap, and that dude looked dialed in, almost like it looked like he was on something. I mean that as a compliment. He was wide-eyed, like pupils were small. He was eyeing every possible angle, and to your point, it comes down to that final play, the non-calls. And I saw a Joe Burrow that could only be stopped by something like that in that moment.
Yeah. A couple of things. 2-point conversion, I have no issue with it. The defense wasn't stopping Lamar. They just weren't.
Fair.
You give the ball back to Lamar. Honestly, I wouldn't have felt comfortable with a lead. Lamar gets the ball back 37 seconds. They would have taken a knee probably. You kick it out of the back of the end zone. Maybe not. Maybe you get tricky with it. Let's just say he has the ball at the 20 with 30 seconds left. Don't feel great. I don't feel great about the Bengals defense and what they did. And the reason I don't feel great is because I saw the worst tackling in NFL history tonight. The Bengals made history. The officials made history because they're blind. They're the first blind officials to ever officiate an entire NFL game. They blow the call at the end of the game, the most important play of the game. But the second most important play of the game was Tylan Wallace, who I'm pretty confident, and we have 850 people viewing us right now. I think all 850 of them could have made the play on Tylan Wallace that Cam Taylor-Britt, Logan Wilson, and Geno Stone didn't make. I have no idea what the hell they were doing. It is the worst tackling in NFL history on that play. All they had to do was shove him out of bounds. There is no way Geno Stone should let Tylan Wallace past him. There's none. It wasn't like he had a head start. He was right there next to him. You push him out of bounds. He's inches away from out of bounds. You can't do that. You do this weird, half-assed, like you might as well just Photoshop a Ravens jersey on him. That's what it looked like. He looked like he was the 12th man. I have no idea how that became a touchdown. It is the worst piece of tackling. Literally, I believe this in NFL history. I don't think there's worse. Well, here's my argument. It's Tylan Wallace. It's not a Lamar Jackson or a Michael Vick or a really hard to tackle player, right? There's one. 2, you had 3 levels. You had your corner. You had your linebacker. Then you had your safety. None of them can make a play. I mean, Logan Wilson, you're paying him big money. Cam Taylor-Britt's a second-round pick. Geno Stone's this big free agent addition. No one can make the tackle. I really believe we're at 850 people right now. All of them would have made that play, and the Bengals couldn't. 84-yard touchdown, the most ridiculous touchdown I'll see this week, and one of the most ridiculous touchdowns of the year.
I want to talk about that for a second, and for what it's worth, we have a lot of comments, and we are going to flash some up here at some point.
Yeah, we can get to comments in a second here. Yeah.
But I do want to mention the Wallace play. Part of me wondered in real time and during the replay, did they think what we all thought? That dude's foot had to have gotten out of bounds, right? Like we couldn't see it. It just maybe felt that way. It doesn't matter though when you're on the field. They didn't finish. And that's the issue that I have with this defense. The tackling up to a point seemed better. We could talk about individual players that played better in that regard, but like it didn't feel like a mess. That play is when it felt like it started to unravel. And obviously Chase Brown fumble, momentum, all that. But yes, to your point, that play, I don't know. I don't care if you thought he was out of bounds. There was no whistle. You finish. They didn't do that.
Yeah. You're giving them more than I am. I literally tweeted it out. I know they'll see it. I tweeted it out. It is the worst tackling in NFL history. I hope they all see it. I hope they ask me about it so I can tell them that it's the worst tackling in NFL history. I'm serious about that.
That's going to be the worst tackling in NFL history.
Yeah. So Enter the Jungle has these you have these spreads. I can do one on it. Like, I'm not kidding here. So like you do like the all decade teams. All right, here. The all decade
I'll
team.
put
Like
you
this
full
is
screen. I
all
got you.
70s, all 70s
Oh wait, we gotta get rid
defense
of
and
this
offense.
overlay. My goodness.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. I could do the worst tackling I've ever seen. I've spread of Marvin Lewis here, just about how he changed things. Spread about the Super Bowl teams. Well, I can do a spread on how Geno Stone, Cam Taylor, Brett, and Logan Wilson had the worst tackling performance ever, literally in the history of the NFL. I mean, and also Lamar Jackson's awesome. I think the book fell behind me. It did. Oh well. Lamar Jackson's awesome. That's another pet peeve of mine, though. Can someone just try to run through him instead of like hesitate, not contain, and just try to like you had the Sam Hubbard gets stiff armed into the ground in week 5, which was just the most, talk about an embarrassing play. And I know Lamar's awesome.
Yeah.
You're a 270-pound man, at least. He's probably heavier than that. You can't let 205 Lamar Jackson go to you. So that happens. And then tonight, man, just, you can't let Lamar do the little tightrope walk, because this was right after the fumble. This is when they got their juice. This is when the momentum shifted. And again, that's why, going back to the 2-point conversion, I have no issue with it, because Lamar had his swag. He had it going then, man. 4 straight touchdowns. I think it would have been tough to stop. But this team, it's just, there's a couple of things. So Zach Taylor, I respect the decision to go for 2. They never should have had to go for 2, because they went for it on 4th and 2. And it was a 53-yard field goal attempt for Evan McPherson that they passed on with 9. Let me check my notes. 9 minutes, just over 9 minutes, 9:42 left. You take the points. You don't go for it. It ends up being, there was a deep ball to Chase on 3rd and 2, deep ball to Jermaine on 4th and 2. You give the ball back, and they go 65 yards, 7 plays, score a touchdown, take the lead. They get the 2-point conversion. You were up 21-20 when you decide to go for it there. Go up 24-20. Go up 24-20. Kick the field goal. And you don't. And it comes to it literally, that's what bit you. Because had they not done that, the Ravens wouldn't have went for 2 when they scored. So it would have been 27-24. And then the Bengals scored the deep ball to Jamar Chase. Then the Ravens answered. And then guess what? That final touchdown to Jamar, that gives you the lead, and possibly the lead for good. You kick the extra point and you say, all right, Ravens, go down and score a touchdown. We're up 38-34. I just did a lot of math. Hopefully you guys can keep up with the logic of how the game would have played out. I had every score there that would have taken place. That irks me. I don't like leaving points on the field. I get going for it at times, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In that moment, the Ravens had just scored 13 straight. Go get a 4-point lead. Kick that field goal with Evan McPherson. They didn't, and I do think that was a decision in the moment I didn't agree with. I had the tweet typed out, and I'm like, let's, some of them you just delete. But that's one, Andrew. In the moment, I'm like, man, I don't like going for it here. Even though it's 4th and 2, it's 4th and short. I would have taken the points.
I had no problem with them. I had no problem with the choice to go for it on 4th in that moment. I didn't like how, whether it was the initial design of the play or how it ultimately ended up in the read that Burrow ended up doing. I don't know about home run balls on 4th and 2 to a player that is still trying to prove that he's got his footing in this league with Jermaine Burton. But actually, speaking of comments, Taylor Cornell brings this up. I mean, that's what I wanted to bring up right here. Is it a matter of, and use your best judgment here, James, of course, are they avoiding Evan McPherson, or are they trying to be aggressive and put the ball in Burrow's hands, as many of us have said, in different circumstances?
Sure. In different ones. I get that. I get early on in the game when you're trying to grab momentum and not settle for 3. At that point, you're on your heels. And so, by the way, if you just think Evan sucks, then cut him. Get him the hell out of here. Take the cap hit. It's dumb. He's missed a couple. If Jamar would have dropped 3 balls tonight, do you go to him again? Jermaine Burton got 5 targets tonight, right? 4 of them were incomplete. But Joe still went to him. Andre Yosevach runs the wrong route, not on the same page as Burrow on 3rd and 10 with the game on the line. He ran the right route and got the ball right to the line to gain on that 4th down. And so That's what I don't get about kickers. Yeah, they only get this many opportunities compared to receivers or compared to quarterbacks or compared to offensive linemen. Fine. But this idea that I've lost confidence in Evan McPherson, I haven't. And it maybe Zach has. You're right. Maybe he has. He would deny that. I don't care. I would have kicked that all day long. There's a reason Evan has made so many of those field goals. It's because he's talented. And so to go away from him, it's just not what I would do in that situation. So maybe that is something, and that's going to be a storyline. And if it is, I hate it because I would have kicked it there and I wouldn't have worried about, because by the way, what's a higher percentage? Evan McPherson making those? Let's just say he's 50% or a deep ball to Jermaine Burton. I mean, come on. Right. I know there's a better reward, a better payoff, but any deep ball at best is 50-50. And so that's a tough ask. But even before that, I would have kicked it because, again, Evan McPherson's a high-end kicker. Even if we want to look at, he kicked this many, he's missed this many, percentage this, percentage that. No, I still believe in him.
I'm going to rapid fire through a few of these because I think I can address them, and you're welcome to echo whatever we're wanting to talk about here. 2-point conversion was because you weren't listening. You weren't even here. So moving on. Like, that's not what we said. It wasn't. Okay.
But no, put that back up. You got to
I got to go find it again. I'm not.
No, don't find it again. It was a good choice. It was a good choice. Your defense was getting shredded Swiss cheese. All right. Don't blame the decision. I hate this. They absolutely should have went for it. Absolutely. 100%. 100 out of 100 go for it. Now, do I like, and this is my issue, do I like that the officials decide it because Mike Gesicki, who's wide receiver 2, gets just crushed and doesn't get the runner route? Do I like that Joe Burrow gets clearly roughed as he's throwing that ball to Tanner Hudson? No, I don't like that. I don't like that the officials decided it, but it should have been a 2-point conversion from the 1-yard line. I also think 2-point conversion wise, and I know they wanted to get a look at the Ravens defense. Man, oh man, I was thinking back shoulder to Jamar before they took that timeout. When he was one-on-one, they take the timeout and then they run it that second time. Oh, I would have been tempted. Just heat check it and throw it to
him. I've seen a few of these. Listen, that's not the point. If this is your big takeaway from the game, like, you need to go watch the Texans. I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's neither here nor there. Like, I've seen a lot of those. It's the only reason I flashed it up.
Chase Brown had 94 yards and a touchdown tonight. 94 yards from scrimmage, including 9 receptions. I mean,
obviously the fumble was critical, but he looked great.
Yeah, I think he played fine.
What do you make of this? What are you hearing, James? I mean, I noticed it with the left hand, and he was having his issues, but unrelated, obviously. But any word on anything that you are aware of?
He took a beating tonight.
Right.
Like, he was getting his ass kicked. He was getting hit. That's why the end of the game pisses me off so damn much. I never cuss like this or talk like that. It does. It's infuriating because you have this guy who's wincing to pick up his helmet, who's stronger than anyone in this chat right now. So you're talking about 800 people. He is. Joe's a freak. Got to understand that. You're talking about like a 6'3", 215-pound dude that works his ass off. And he's trying to grab his 2-pound helmet and he's wincing. Like, trying to pick this up and he's wincing because his arm's hurting because he's getting hit by these 300-pound guys. And he's throwing the ball all over the field. And it comes down to that. I mean, Joe was insane tonight. 34 of 56 for 428, 4 touchdowns, a 108 quarterback rating. Just insane. They averaged 3.1 yards per carry. And it's not like he had all of his weapons. I mean, that's the other part of this. I mean, it's Jamar, Chase Brown, Tanner Hudson was 3rd in receiving on this team. Tanner Hudson, the guy that half the people in here probably wanted cut when he fumbled against the Patriots, and he was wide receiver 3 tonight, or pass catcher number 3 tonight. It's just, Joe's been insane. And so the game comes down to that when he's dealing with, clearly, I don't want to say injuries, but he's nicked up and playing through it. And I think he'll be fine, but man, oh man, I do wonder. He obviously talked by now. Jamar talked by now. I wonder what's going on in those two dudes' heads right now, because it can't be. I would not want to be someone that would have to address them now, because I'm not really sure what they would say. It probably wouldn't be pleasant.
Speaking of, in case we don't have any time to get to it later, but a lot of comments of this nature. This is an older one. Is the season over, James?
No,
Mathematically,
it is not over.
obviously not. But
no,
how are we
but
feeling,
it isn't.
I guess, is where I'm at.
Yeah. So the division's over. The division's over. It could have been wide open if they had won tonight. And that's what tonight was. What they have to do now is they have to go to the Chargers. They have to go to Los Angeles and find a way to win, because it's a huge AFC matchup with two teams hoping to be in the playoff mix. If you win that one, then you go into the bye 5-6, come back from the bye, and you play the Pittsburgh Steelers at home. Got to get both of them. That's it. You got to get both of them, and then you're 6-6. And by the way, just say it out loud. Should Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and company be able to go to the Chargers? I mean, it's a tough matchup because they're super physical, and I get all that. They should be able to be competitive in LA. Should they beat Russell Wilson and the Steelers? I think it's a tough matchup because the Steelers have a really good defensive front. There's no reason to think you can't. And then after that, you'll play the Dallas Cowboys on the road without Dak Prescott. You have the Titans as well in December. So it isn't over, but the margin for error got that much slimmer. And that's what losing to the Patriots does, or blowing the game to Baltimore in week 5 did. And they really blew that game. Tonight, I don't necessarily think they blew it. Like, there's some frustrating things, but man, oh man, like you had the Chase Brown fumble, but it wasn't like they were up 14 with 7 minutes to go, or 7 with the ball with 5 minutes to go and Burrow threw a pick like last time. And so should they have won tonight? I think they should have certainly tackled better, and there's things that they should have done. But you can accept losing on the road in a tight one. You can't accept that week 5 one. That's the one that's tough. Yeah, JR's rides. You could fine. So you think they're going to lose one of the next 2? That's what you're saying. You can say, get it through your head, bro. I think Joe Burrow is a better quarterback than Justin Herbert. He's certainly playing like it this year. So if they stop the run against the Chargers, we'll see. We'll see. I by the way, they don't need to win out. They don't need to win out. I don't know why that's a thing, but we can play the schedule game if you want. Let's do it.
Wait. Hang on. I got to bring this up. If we meet Baltimore in the playoffs, you think we're going to on the road? They almost won on the road tonight.
Of course. Yeah.
That's what we're talking about. Like,
it was right there. And so you just don't want to put yourself in this position where it's a must win on the road. Now, playoffs are different, of course, but let's do the schedule game. Chargers, Steelers, Cowboys, Titans, Browns, Broncos, Steelers. There's a very realistic chance that the Chargers and Steelers, that at least one of those teams makes the playoffs. And then after that, Cowboys, Titans, Browns, no playoffs. Broncos, maybe, and Steelers. I think that's winnable. I think that's doable to make a run. Now, they're a very flawed team. That's what tonight showed us. 21-7, and then they stub their toe with a fumble. And then they can't tackle Lamar Jackson after the defense has just been awesome and forcing 5 punts on the first 6 possessions of the game. And you just can't get another stop. Like, those things are insane. Cam Taylor-Britt, it wasn't just the non-tackle on Tylan Wallace, which was just insane, by the way, because we have new viewers here. Worst tackling in NFL history. That's what it is. Call that play. I tweeted it, by the way. The worst tackling in NFL history is what that play was. And so there's that. Also, Cam Taylor-Britt, I think it was the game-winning touchdown for the Ravens. You have the interception. Burrow finds Chase to tie the game, and you have the interception in your hands. You have to catch that. You have to catch it. And instead, he lets it slip through and hit the ground as he's catching it. Can't happen. Those are the type of plays you have to make. Those are the type of plays playoff teams make. And so for those saying their season is over, it is not over. But you better start making those plays. I'm not saying go out there and hold Lamar Jackson to 7 points like you did in the first half and the second half. We knew that wasn't going to happen. But when the game is on the line, when Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase say, get on my back, make a play. And no one made a play. Not one player on that defense made a play. They got that first stop in the second half, or the second stop in the second half, and then that was it. They could not get off the field. They had their opportunities. They had their chances, and they blew it. That simple. They blew it. Now, this idea, I just saw a comment, if we can't beat the big dogs, this idea that they just can't is silly. But guys like Cam, and it's not just Cam, but guys like Cam, Joseph Osai had his arms wrapped around Lamar, got close to Lamar, and can't grab him. All right, Lamar does not have this force field around him. And I don't know why it's so tough for the Bengals to just touch him. Like, they get to him, and then they just can't touch him. And it's not like he hits him with wiggle. He's just like, guys, run through him. And other teams, I get it. He embarrasses every team. But not like he does against the Bengals. I mean, it's always a highlight reel against the Bengals. Always. Dating back to when he was drafted. And it's just insane that they didn't sack him once. Hendrickson had a shot at him where he literally is outstretched and should have got him. And it's like, all right, well, you know who makes that play? Myles Garrett makes that play. TJ Watt makes that play. Nick Bosa makes that play. The elite pass rushers make that play. And Trey, sometimes you got to make that play. And he didn't. And those are the type of moments I'll remember from tonight from the defense.
Yeah, I could go on and on with these comments, but a lot of the common thing I think that we haven't addressed is Zach coaching, play calling, all of that. It's
Sure.
The usual narrative. Like, hey, let's get rid of Zach. What are we going to do about coaching? Blah blah blah. What's your stance on this after this game?
Bill Belichick is available. No, I'm just all right.
No, okay, no.
I'm joking.
I'm surprised that hasn't come up in the comments. That's a usual thing.
Hey, it'll come up in more than just comments if they lose a couple more.
That's fair.
Look,
yeah, sure.
Look, this team continues to make mistakes that they cannot make. And I'll go through a couple of them. The worst tackling in NFL history on a little dump off to Tylan Wallace, where he just runs straight. It's not like it was an outstanding play by Tylan Wallace. And it's not me being mean to him. It wasn't. He caught the ball and he ran straight. Threw his stiff arm out there, which cannot happen. Logan Wilson, run through him. What are you doing? And that's it. And he runs straight. How does he not get tackled with guys that are in line with him? They didn't have to catch him. So those are the type of plays. Those are the type of coaching moments that I really need to see. When I think about the winners and losers from this game, I do think Zach and Lou go together because some of the decisions Zach made plus Lou's defense in the second half where no one makes a play. You just need one play. No one can do it. They have no shot. Did you think they were stopping them on that third down when it's 28-28? Third down from like the 6 or whatever it was?
I mean, history told me no.
I didn't think there was a shot. I saw Lamar Jackson smiling after the incompletion where the clock stopped. And I'm like, oh my God. He just thinks it's like he's playing flag football. He's like, dang. He's at recess. It's like, oh my God. And by the way, he's awesome. Can you make a play? And that's what's frustrating. So coaching wise, decision wise, and I think that's what people wanted me to talk about. Zach Taylor, I hate 4th and 2, go deep. You're in scoring range. You're at the Ravens 34-yard line. I kicked the field goal there. You're up 21-20, 9:42 left in the fourth quarter. Kick the field goal. Would have been a 51-yard field goal, not 53. I said 53 earlier. 51. Al Michaels got it wrong. You're at the 34. You add 10 because of the end zone. 44, 7 yards. It would have been a 51-yard field goal. Evan would have made it. And so Evan makes that field goal. You go up 24-20. That's such a turning point in the game for me. The other one, they had 2nd and 16 from the Ravens 40. And this is after the Ravens cut it to 21-14. Before the Tylan Wallace worst NFL tackling in NFL history. And I hate this. 2nd and 16. And it was an incompletion. So 3rd and 16. And I'm like, all right, we'll pick up 7 yards here and kick a field goal. Like, you're not going to go for it. And every route, Jamar Chase ran a route across the middle or over the middle at the first down marker. That's where Joe Burrow ended up throwing it. I think they sent 1 or 2 more guys out, but they were deep. There was no like quick little dump off to Chase Brown for 7 yards or Andre Yosevach for 6 or slant to Jamar for 7.
In general, or are you talking about conversions, like for first down?
On 3rd and 16 from the 40-yard line.
Right.
You're up 21-14. The Ravens had just scored. You're driving. It's 3rd and 16. Like, just get some yards and get into field goal range. And instead, they're at the Ravens 40. He throws it over the middle because there's no one there. He gets under pressure, of course, because it's 3rd and long. Gives Jamar a shot, but they're not close enough to make it count and make the catch. And now you have to punt. And so you punt it, you pin them back, and your defense has the worst tackling in NFL history. So that's decision-wise, that's it for me. I know people are going to talk about the deep balls on 4th down, the one in the first half, the 4th and 2. I just have a problem going for it. But that was the moment because you had those back-to-back possessions. The first one, you punt, 4th and 16 when you could have gotten to field goal range. Honestly, I probably would have ran it or found some kind of quick something on 2nd down to get some yards. And then if you get 6 yards, then all right, it's 3rd and long, but you're in field goal range. And then the 4th and 2 to not take the field goal. And I get it. Everybody wants the points. I'm not an always points guy. It's an always go for it guy. Sometimes I'm a points guy. Everyone wants to go for it always, and I get it. But there is a balance, and I went for it there. I would have said, all right, Money Mac, go be money and give us a 24-20 lead. So those are the 2 possessions outside of the officials sucking at the end. Those are the 2 possessions on offense that I think that they would like to have back. I would like to have back at least.
I understand. I'm really torn on the choice between kicking field goal, going up by 4.
Then just cut Evan. Just cut Evan.
Just cut Evan. How is it? It's not that black or white. It's not that.
If you don't trust him to kick a 51-yard field goal, then I can find any kicker to kick 43-yard field goals. Anybody. Okay. So I can find 10
Justin
people.
Justin Tucker missed an extra point. I'm just saying that. Like,
don't care.
Okay.
So by the way, so the Ravens. All right, let's play this game. So the Ravens. Let's say that the Bengals get the 2-point conversion, or just kick the extra point to tie it 35-35.
Okay.
The Ravens aren't going to trust Justin Tucker to kick a field goal.
I don't care what the Ravens trust or don't.
They would have trusted him to kick a 70-yard field goal with the game on the line. What are we talking about?
I understand, but
it's a 51-yarder. They had scored 13 straight. Do you like points or not? Points win the game.
I like points, but I also like.
Then
it's still. I mean, but this is the very thing that this is why I'm torn. I'm not saying it's obvious, but like the very thing that we're saying, I know it's all circumstance, but you empower your offense. You instill confidence in your quarterback. You put the ball in Burrow's hands. It was just that call is to instill momentum, is to give your quarterback who looks like he is just completely locked in, dialed in.
Sure.
Let him run. Let him go. I don't hate it. That's all I can say. I would have been fine with McPherson going for it too. I wouldn't be sitting here if it had been flipped. I wouldn't have been sitting here like, why didn't they let Burrow go for it? Like, I get it, but I don't think it's that obvious. Is all I'm trying to say. There's a little nuance to it. That's it.
Sure, I get it, and there's a balance, and it isn't all numbers where it's like, oh well, the analytics say go for it here, don't go for it here, and that's what I'm saying. In that moment, that's how I felt.
Okay.
Sometimes I'm wrong on that stuff. He could have thrown a touchdown to Jermaine Burton, and guess what? But it didn't happen. And if they had taken a 24-20 lead, it just feels different. And instead, it was the other way, where you look up and it's 28-21 very fast, and it's like, oh my God. And so the bottom line is, ladies and gentlemen, as we are approaching nearly 1,000 people in here, which we love each and every one of you. The things I'm going to remember from this game: the Bengals, clearly a flawed football team. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase were what I led my what to watch for video with this week, which is basically the things that need to happen if the Bengals are going to win. The first one was Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase need to put the capes on and just be insane. And last I checked, 428 yards, 4 touchdowns for Joe, 11 catches for 264, and 3 touchdowns for Jamar. Like, that is insane. 11 for 264 and 3 tutties for Jamar Chase. And 2 of those touchdowns, 67-yarder, 70-yarder, all 3 of them in the second half. And then the 5-yarder that could have been the game winner.
Yeah.
I've
got Jamar in fantasy, by the way. I had to charge my phone because the notifications were draining.
How many points did he get for you?
Oh, I'll tell you right now. So PPR, 55.4.
You won this week. Thank God I'm not playing you. Oh, that's my God.
Playing my wife.
Good. So your wife has Burrow, and
that's right.
Burrow beat me last week, so I'm really happy now that you can get her back a little bit. That being said, the things that I will remember: Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase were awesome, and it still wasn't enough. The officials suck, and they need LASIK surgery. I'm seriously going to refer them. I'm going to send them personal letters, or I have LASIK do it. Maybe LASIK will do it for me. And the third one is it's the worst tackling in NFL history. I mean, I cannot believe that play happened. That really, the fact that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are that determined and they were that locked in to overcome that and to come back and get it to that point. I mean, we've seen this unravel before. Right. You know how hard it is to bounce back that way? Andy Dalton loses that game by 3 scores.
And they just come out one play.
Yeah. Yeah.
To answer,
and
to
come out one play, boom, it's 28-28. Lamar goes downfield and he shoots a jump shot to Rashad Bateman. Okay, fine. We'll respond. And they did. Like, they're amazing. But going back to earlier this week at the trade deadline, going back to what I wrote for BengalsTalk.com, it was like, look, the past couple of weeks, Josh Uche got moved. Baron Browning got moved. Guys that can help your pass rush. Guys that maybe know how to tackle Lamar Jackson a little bit. Didn't have that tonight. Maybe you go and get secondary help, a veteran that could help. Why wouldn't you have done that 3 weeks ago? And they haven't, and they didn't. And when you think about it, the secondary, Cam Taylor-Britt dropped interception, missed tackle. Geno Stone missed tackle. Logan Wilson missed tackle. The inability to get consistent pressure on Lamar, 0 sacks on Lamar. That's it. And that was the second half when they scored 4 straight touchdowns. You needed a closer. You needed a playmaker, someone that would make a play. And they don't have that right now. They don't, including Trey Hendrickson. Had a chance to make a couple plays, and he really didn't. I'm not saying he didn't impact the game. Of course, he always does, but not to the level that you needed. And he was dealing with Ronnie Stanley, and so he had his hands full. It's just unfortunate to waste that performance from Joe, where he's getting his butt kicked. And you're down your offensive lineman, you're down Orlando Brown Jr. and T. Higgins, and you find a way and you're in it and you blow it like that. It sucks. Just sucks. And Jamar Chase is the best receiver on the planet. Like, that's what's crazy is, like, Joe was awesome. Jamar probably is wide receiver 1 on earth. And you look up and you're like, how did they lose that game?
Exactly.
And it's a couple of those decisions we just talked about, and it's the defense. I'm not sure. I mean, man, they'll probably tackle me when I get into the locker room because I'm saying this, but, like, are you sure they tackle you on that Tylan Wallace play? Did they tackle you?
Me?
You. I mean, and you run like a 7.4 40.
I mean, probably not, because they'll think I stepped out of bounds, maybe, if we're going to work under that theory.
I just don't understand. He's a receiver. He's not a quarterback. Shove him. Shove him into the bench. I don't care. You can't let him score. What are you doing? What are you doing? And so that's what tonight is. I mean, 21-7. I was never like, oh, the Bengals won this game, but they were in control of it. The Chase Brown fumble was a killer, obviously, but good teams can rebound from that, right? Great players can rebound from that. You know who did? Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. Who else is great? And I think that's it. That's the real question. Who else is great? Who else is a playmaker? I mean, and the answer is nobody. The answer is nobody. And that includes Trey, who leads the NFL in sacks, and I get it. Everyone loves. I need you to make a play against Ronnie Stanley on one of those final 4 drives where you get to Lamar Jackson and bring him down. It's easy to do against Desmond Ridder and backup offensive linemen. That's easy to do.
That's fair.
I need you to do it tonight. And that's why they're outside of the officials, which is a part of it too. I still can't believe the officials.
Well, I'm going to bring this full circle for a moment.
Yeah, do it.
All right. So Devontae Jones, yes, we talked about this right when we kicked off this live, and we talked about it a little bit beyond that as well. So if you didn't check it out, we definitely covered this. Go back, watch. Appreciate you watching. Also, we did talk about Zach. So yes, if you wanted to go back, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 minutes, that was covered. It was probably about a few minutes before you made this comment. So there's that too.
Yeah. I talked about Zach and decisions and plenty. Yeah.
So yeah, that James, quickly mention tomorrow while we're here.
Yeah. You keep saying tomorrow. Well, it is tomorrow now. I guess.
Later today. Oh my God. Don't make me do that. Don't make me
it's
do
Saturday.
That. Get all technical.
No, you keep thinking it's Friday. It's Saturday.
Oh, it is
Saturday.
Friday. It's 12:36.
Yeah. So it is tomorrow. Saturday at 5 p.m. Joseph Beth in Rookwood. Get your copy of Enter the Jungle. Yes. Enter the Jungle. I will write whatever you want. I will write, Bill Belichick 2025.
Worst tackling I've ever seen. November 7th,
tackling in NFL history. Officials need LASIK surgery because they can't see the obvious grab of Mike Gesicki where he's tackled at the goal line, or the obvious roughing the passer call. Whatever you want me to say. I can't believe that they didn't kick it on 4th and 2, even though I'm probably in the minority there. Like any of those. But 5 o'clock, Joseph Beth, Rookwood. Be there. We can talk about the Bengals for sure. Maybe I'll bring a little CBT gear to give away, and certainly signing books as well. It's perfect holiday gift for any Bengals fan in your life, where you could treat yourself as well. So Joseph Beth in Rookwood.
Well, maybe I'll show up. I need some CBT gear.
You are not getting any. You don't have anything I don't have. You have more than I do, I think.
I probably do. I bought it myself. So we heard your takeaways. Any closing thoughts? Because you're about to do Locked On, so everyone can move on over.
Yeah, I think clearly this team is uber talented because they are lifted up by two superheroes. Like literally, one Spider-Man and one Superman, or insert however you want to put it. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase were awesome tonight. And they didn't need the Avengers. They just needed one more to show up. And no one else did. That doesn't mean there weren't other guys that made plays. Chase Brown made plays, but he had the fumble. Tanner Hudson made plays, but had the drop. Mike Gesicki made some plays, but he was also being guarded by a 5'8" guy. Like, hey, man, I need you to box out the 5'8" guy and not let him get all over you and knock the ball out. And I don't mean that final play. That should have been called. But that's what happens on the road. Sometimes you don't get calls. And sometimes you don't get calls in critical moments. And that's what stinks, is like, you got to be able to make tackles. You got to be able to hold on to the ball for interceptions. You got to be able to get your arms around Lamar Jackson, Trey Hendrickson when you have him within your grasp, and multiple other guys. I'm being critical of Trey because he's the best guy that they have on defense. And so the expectations are higher. And so when all of those things compound, this is what you get. You get a 4-6 football team. You get a team that has a ton of talent and is going to put up huge numbers. And you're like, well, how the hell are they 4-6? Well, that's how. And so they're not done, but they got to figure it out quick. And I would be looking on free agent lists and trying to find anyone that can help, because they do not have enough playmakers. They just don't.
Exactly.
They should have spent multiple. I mean, I would have added a playmaker on offense. I would have tried to add I would have added probably Baron Browning from the Broncos. He got traded for a 6th rounder. That would have probably been the trade I made. And or Josh Uche last week. And so they didn't. And this is when you don't have enough playmakers, that's what happens.
Speaking of playmakers, hopefully we'll be getting T. Higgins back, matter of time. And this was a game without Orlando Brown Jr. So we didn't really mention that at all during this, but
I did. We'll see on T. We'll see on T. I don't know if we see him until Pittsburgh.
I said a matter of time. I don't know when.
I mean, like 3 weeks.
Right.
Because they play the Chargers in 10 days, then there's a bye. So that's why. Not having those guys hurt tonight, no doubt. But their stars put them in position to win. And shoulda, woulda, coulda. You don't. And that's what happens. But that's going to do it. Make sure you check out bengalstalk.com, including the controversial plays at the end. I have that video up. I know Jay Morrison is writing some articles right now. I have stuff for you up there right now. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell. I will see you Saturday at 5 p.m. at Joseph Beth in Rookwood. Get your copy of Enter the Jungle. And for Andrew Fox Miller, you have anything you want to plug, Andrew?
No, I have nothing I want to plug, James. I'm just I don't know if I'll be at Joseph Beth, but if I am, we can just sit in the back and be like, isn't it amazing we're here to see James Rapine? That's what I'm going to be there for.
That's right. He's Andrew Fox Miller. I'm James Rapine. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry it's not under better circumstances, Bengals fans, as they fall to 4-6 on the year, 35-34. Heartbreaker.
More ahead. Stay tuned.
Ravens. Yeah, we'll have more coverage of the Bengals right here on the channel on Friday, later today, when I'm at the stadium. Andrew didn't know that until now. But until then, thank you so much for watching.